Hey everybody. Um, Take a couple of minutes and review my brand new Wilde-Tuned harmonica from Seydel. These are specially tuned harmonicas. You may have heard Will Wilde on YouTube videos, or maybe you've seen him live. And if you have, you've probably heard his stuff and you've said to yourself, how's he do that? Well, two things. One, he's a badass player. I mean, that kid can play. Two, he's got a harmonica that he's commissioned Seydel to make for him that is tuned in a special way. And it allows him to do some wacky things that you can't normally do on a diatonic harmonica. That said, the difference between Will Wilde and you is not one of these, but this doesn't hurt. Anyway, a couple of procedural details made by Seydel. It's Session Steel. I'm not a huge fan of Seydel harmonicas. I think they cost more than they're worth. And this harmonica doesn't dissuade me from that opinion. That said, it's a perfectly good harmonica, but it cost $80, and Seydels tend to be pretty pricey. Now, you do get one of these little hankies that you can clean your glasses with, and a little leather harmonica condom, which I think these things are great. I carry my Bushman Delta Frost in my pocket in this, and it keeps it from getting tangled up with the hankies and the balls of string and the frogs and all that other stuff that I've got in my pocket. This may well be worth the price of admission. Anyway, the harmonica itself, the bottom 5 holes are tuned just like a regular diatonic. So there you can do all of the things that you normally would on a harmonica, right? And so forth and so on. Where it starts to get a little wonky is up around hole 6. So holes 6, 7, and 8 on this are tuned just the same way holes 2, 3, and 4 are, but an octave higher. So 2, 3, and 4, 6, 7, 8. And with it come all of the associated bends. So you can bend the heck out of a 2, you can bend the heck out of the 6 here. And that's the root note. That's what you normally hit with a diatonic on the blow 6. What this means, though, is that you've got that same weird duplication of notes up there between the blow 6, no, the draw 6 and the blow 7, just like at the bottom. But it does give you the opportunity to play those same runs up in the upper register that you normally play in the lower register. So 6, 7, and 8 are 2, 3, and 4. Hole 9 is back to the same tuning as hole 2, but now 2 octaves up. And the 6. Okay? And then hole 10 is like a regular harmonica's hole 10, except that the reeds are switched, so now your magic dick blow bend 10 warble is a draw 10 warble. Again, it takes a little bit of getting used to anyway. If you're overusing that note anyway, you probably shouldn't be. So the other part of making 6, 7, and 8 like 2, 3, and 4 is now your 5 blow and your 6 blow are the same note. So it took me a while to figure this out because I thought I was getting some sort of tremolo effect. I didn't know what was going on. And the only thing that does is if you're playing things like juke, you've got to jump over a note to hit what normally was the 6 blow is now in the 7 blow position, or you have to relearn it so that you hit the 6 draw instead of the 6 blow. Couple of little things like that. That said, you can do some wacky things up top, right? You can't do that on a regular diatonic. Caveat on this is, though, these notes are high. So if you've been struggling with your F harp or a high G, like I do, these upper registers, to play them well, takes a fair amount of skill, and that is a skill that I'm still developing. I like the business of a root note on the draw 6 because you can add some expressiveness. You know, where normally you're doing a blow vibrato, which works okay. This one you can really, you know, put some meat into it. Which is pretty cool. I think, however, the primary utility of this is playing second position minor blues. If you're playing minor blues, as you probably know by now, anytime you get on a diatonic harp, anytime you get above hole 6, it's a bit of a mystery up there. People get around that by playing third position, and there the upper registers are fine, but now you got to bend your face off for the lower registers, so that lower octave is difficult. This harmonica allows you, from a tonal perspective, to get both the lower and the upper register notes with the same sorts of patterns that you would play the lower notes in a second position harmonica. Sounds confusing, I know, but now you've got everything sort of packed into one. Let me see if I can show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. So here's a regular diatonic, and that's going to be the same down at the bottom as this one is. If you're playing third position, these are all A harps, this is a D harp, your root note is on the 4, right? But then you get down to the bottom. And that stuff is hard to do. Now this one gives you all of that. Got to hit that note right though. Again, still working on the skill part, but you can hear, all of those tones are available in one harmonica, both in the lower and the upper registers. So anyway, I think it's fun to play with. I've got a rehearsal this afternoon. I'm going to make sure that the band plays me something in E minor so that I can test this thing out a little bit more. But my first impressions are, this is definitely a worthwhile toy. It's reasonably intuitive. So, while I am still stumbling over the 5-6 hole blow duplication and the business of the duplication between, what is that, the 6 draw and the 7 blow, it's not all that difficult to figure out. I've got 40 years of muscle memory that is stored up here somewhere, and consequently, I have to think when I'm playing this more than I would a diatonic. But if I were starting out, I have a suspicion that this one would be easier to learn than a regular diatonic. That said, even experienced practitioners, I think, could have a lot of fun with one of these. So, bottom line, $80. you know, if you've got it lying around, maybe you get one. Maybe you fool around with it and see what's what. I think it's a cool little harmonica. Good job, Will, and happy harping.